Hey everybody, welcome to the latest update of my continuous neck issues that I continue to have. For those that don't know me, I've been posting plenty of videos here. I've had two neck surgeries over the past 3 years. In July, or really what was considered August, because it was July 31st of 2020, I had a 2-level neck fusion. There's a little cut over here. You can't really even see the cut anymore because it's almost completely gone. I think it might actually be right over here. I can't even tell, but it's almost gone. Like you can't even see the scar was like that tiny. It was that's how great it was. They cut into me. They put a steel plate in there. They put bones in between my bones, and then let the bones grow and connect to each other. And then they put a steel plate, and you can see. That's what it looks like right there. So that is my first surgery right there. Okay. And in May of 2021, because I had something okay over here, I didn't have anything okay over here. And that is my second surgery, which is considered a Mobi-C artificial disc replacement. What that is over there, and that might actually be causing me some problems. So I'm going to go into a little bit more about telling you guys why it might be causing me problems. But before I do that, people want to know, for one of the first questions I always get asked, what are your symptoms? I'm going to tell you what my symptoms are. Okay. First off, the common symptoms that people get. There's some common symptoms that I do have with that. There is weakness on the right side. 100% weak, not 100%, but it's weakness on the right. Left side's perfectly okay. Everything like, from here to here is like, like even from here to here and everything over here. That's my left side that I'm pointing out, by the way. Everything on my left side is okay. It's right-sided weakness that I'm getting. I get pain a little bit up here in the upper shoulder, up here, right? And it goes into here, right here. Mostly when I'm seated. I get plenty of pain in the neck, but the pain, when people talk about pain in the neck, they're usually holding their neck over here or over here, something like. I don't get any pain in my neck on the left side, but usually they point a little bit lower. My pain is actually higher. It's actually right over here, about here. I'm here. So if I were to probably turn my neck, it's right about here, right? So that's about where my pain is, and so those are some of the common symptoms. So weakness. Definitely, and that weakness, goes from, at the top of my neck, it starts over here, and then it goes down the right side of the body, actually into the right leg too, believe it or not. However, I've found a little thing that if I do something in particular, the weakness actually goes away. So I'll just show you guys. If I do this, I'm pulling my neck up just a little bit. But if I do this, I feel like, boom, all strength actually returned to my entire body. So that's telling me that there's still a problem there. And I don't know what it is. So you've seen some of my previous videos. If you just look at the thumbnails, you can see what the actual neck looked like. Like you can see above this Mobi-C from the back on the right-hand side, like the neck's like legitimately crooked. It's almost like a scoliosis on the top of the neck up from here to up here. So I think that could potentially be causing me a problem. So naturally, I am in the process again of reaching out to surgeons to find out what the next step is, because a lot of people have their opinions and what's worked for them. And I've already gotten one opinion. I will be honest with you. But before I tell you about that one opinion, I will tell you that I have gone through physical therapy back in 2020 for about 5 months. That physical therapy was okay. I enjoyed going there. I'm sure you probably we saw the previous video, but I really enjoyed going there. I really liked the people there. And that was one thing, but I stopped in 2020 because I said, well, after 5 months, I wasn't feeling anything. One of the things that I did in physical therapy was a shake stick thing, and I was shaking a stick like this. and I literally felt like there was like loose parts up here. I was like, that's what I felt like. I felt, but like if I did it on this side, I was feeling really strong and everything, and I didn't feel anything looser or anything like that. But up here, I felt like there was loose parts, and I had to stop it. It was causing me so much neck pain; it wasn't even funny. So that was the one thing. The second thing that I've done, which I think I talked about at the end of 2020, was I finished up my dental work. Now I'm going to talk about this because I think a lot of this is important and might be some connection to everything else at some point. You can kind of see it. I got a crown and I got an implant. The implants, but it's there and it's a functioning tooth now, so it's but it doesn't look as neat and as clean. But because it's the back tooth, they kind of don't worry about it too much. If it was a front tooth, with the exposure that I had a little bit on here and on the bottom, I'd probably be more concerned. But it's not that bad. Now the problem that I'm having is that when I sat in a dental chair for all those times that I've been doing that, even during a cleaning, like I literally feel like my head's not being supported by my neck. And I feel like my head's being forward or having some sort of imbalance or instability going on. And I've had to sometimes I think which direction have I had to look? I think I've had to look left in order to, and kind of down like this in order to kind of make up for it. So when they were cleaning the teeth like this, I was feeling okay. But if I went like this and back like this, I wasn't feeling good at all. It was just I felt like there was no support over here at all. So in lying down when I'm doing that, was very difficult. And I actually had to have them stop a couple of times because I wasn't comfortable. And that was just during the teeth cleaning. Maybe that's maybe a 30-40 minute process at most. Now I went through a lot more with the dental implant and so on and so on. And, it gets there. But anyway, that's the good part is that I got that done. So now, they just want everything to settle in place, grow, all that stuff. And they're even saying that, my jaw might have kind of compressed a little bit and kind of sunk in a little bit because of that. And they actually took a CAT scan of my jaw just to make sure TMJ joint and everything were in place. And they said everything looked okay. But I will tell you this. I feel like my jaw is out of place. I'm going to tell you that. If I go like this, sorry, you can probably see it. If I go like that, I feel like I'm pulling it back into place. This side, I don't get that feeling, but I hear lots of crunching and grinding in here, right in here. So lots of crunching and grinding right in here, right in here. And I feel like the jaw's out of place. Now, and also, when I do that, I also feel like my neck is kind of getting put back into place. So it's almost like, things do get connected at that point. So that is the one thing that maybe I need to explore that a little bit more or see there's some sort of connection. Now, whether it's the jaw being out of place, causing my neck to be out of place, and maybe, my neck just on the top just falls because my jaw's maybe, or vice versa. It could be the neck fell out of place. And because of that, the jaw is kind of out of place and doesn't have any support anywhere. So I have to look at that and make that determination. What is the cause? Now, where do you go for something like that? Because now you're talking about, basically what they consider head and neck at that point. And that I don't know, can I go to a spine surgeon? Will they see that? No, spine surgeon may not even look at your jaw. They'll say, no, go see an, orthodontist? Was it orthodont? Oh, I forget, some sort of surgeon. Whatever surgeon, not the orthodont. I don't think it's an orthodontist surgeon, but it is some sort of surgeon and they'll tell you, he'll take care of the jaw at that. And the problem is I tried doing that and they turned me away because it didn't have a referral. But that's, but again, I also think there's a problem with the neck because, I sit down, I drive, and I feel like my head's being pulled forward. I feel like I can't hold my head up on this side, just kind of and, my whole body's shifted. I'm trying to, it's really difficult. I feel like there's no support, there's weakness on this side. It's been extremely difficult for me. The other thing I did was that I didn't go to one, but I seeked out a NUCA chiropractor. What a NUCA chiropractor is, a NUCA chiropractor focuses on the upper cervical. When they see an imbalance and at the upper cervical, usually C1, C2 level, they will do some sort of adjustment to try to get it back into place. Now, the problem is I didn't go because I don't know if it's an out of whack upper cervical, which it could be, or if this right here is causing for my upper cervical to be out of place and or continue to be out of place and is shifting things around, which means that this would be the root cause of some problems now. Now, I've had these issues before I had this in place, and the day I got out of the hospital, I still didn't feel okay. If you look at my past thumbnails, you can see one thing that's here. You see this Mobi-C right here. It's actually shifted down. So like, your hand, it should be flat. You see how this is? You see how that is? That should be flat. And the matter of fact, if I do it this way, I'll probably do it this way. That should be flat like that. And now it's even still like that, And now what is done with that vertebrae, it's pushed it downwards. So I brought this up to the orthopedic surgeon that did this surgery. I haven't talked to the orthopedic surgeon that did this surgery. I'm pretty sure what he's going to want to do is he's going to want to say, nope, I'm going to fuse this level and that level. And, that's what's going to end up happening. It might be the answer. I don't know yet. But I talked to the orthopedic surgeon first about this, when I was going through it, because, and this is the latest image. He has not seen this one, but he saw my 3-month one, which is really bad and very similar to, it was very, very similar to this. Actually, it might have been a little bit more worse than this one. The image that you see in my preview of this thumbnail is from behind is actually better than my 3-month one. So that's important to note, because there was some improvement then with physical therapy, but it wasn't enough. Now, that being said, when I brought it to him, he said, well, the Mobi-C is definitely in place, and it hasn't slipped. It seems like everything's okay there. And that's the thing. I don't want to go back to him because he's going to tell me that same thing. And when I went through the surgery with him beforehand, I was very reluctant about getting this Mobi-C. I didn't want the Mobi-C because I heard that they tend to fail more. And when I looked at it, the failure rate was pretty high. But this, by the way, this is not a failed Mobi-C. I spoke to another surgeon about this, and the other surgeon has said that this artificial disc here, this Mobi-C, you can see that it's on the bone still. It's still on the bone. It's actually the bone, it's latched into the bone. It's actually done a really good job there. That's great. The problem is it's now shifted this downwards, like that. And that is a problem. I believe this is my right side, actually, if I'm looking at this correctly. And that is a problem. It's shifted it down. Now the question is, if this is my right, is this my right? Yeah, I think this is my right side. Now that I'm looking at this, because I believe that is my, I believe that's my dental implant. And I want to say that I had this done right before I finished this up here. Anyway, regardless, so he says it's not a failed Mobi-C, but what this might be doing is that this shifted this down, and this might have shifted this down a little bit as well. Though, looking at the C2, C3, that C2 might have been a problem to begin with. So the surgeon came back to me, and I talked to him. It was a different surgeon, out-of-state surgeon. I won't give you any names. I won't give you any, at least for this surgeon, I won't tell you any names. He's kind of done me a little bit of a favor by speaking with me the way he's been speaking with me, and by communicating with me as much. I actually have his personal cell number that I can reach out to anytime if I had any questions, but I'm not going to because I don't want to abuse that. But he did come back and he says, well, he showed my images to a lot of other folks, and within his practice and the practice that he used to be a part of as well, prior to that, because he wanted other opinions. Now, these are orthopedic surgeons. They are not neurosurgeons. The first surgeon that did this surgery was a neurosurgeon. An orthopedic surgeon did this one. Okay, I will tell you that much for certain. I will only leave it at that for now because I don't want, and those surgeons might see his videos and whatnot. But I won't mention any names as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to mention any names. What I will tell you is that this surgery has made me about 50% better, and this surgery has not given me anything at all, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's done anything. As a matter of fact, I think it might have created a little bit more of a problem, but that's to be decided because I was already having a problem before the surgery, and I just don't think that it resolved the issue that I was having. And now it's just pretty much, just kept it at bay at that point. Now, I did have a pretty bad herniated disc from here. But anyway, I went through that in other videos, so you guys can look back at that if you want. But the bottom line is what he told me is that before he talked to other surgeons, he says, well, what I think's going on is you're having some sort of instability, which seems to be on the one side over here, which he's right. He said, and he did ask me, he goes, let me ask you this question. Do you get the sense of like there's like the sense of impending doom going on, when you're in certain situations? And then I told him, yes, absolutely. That's what it feels like. It's like, and he goes, got it. And he goes, and you're 100% sure it's not like anxiety. And I go, no, I'm like, anxiety, I throw out the roof, because I'm having physical problems. And that's the problem. And he goes, okay, all right, fair enough. If I had no physical problems and it was anxiety, believe me, I'd know. And my nature seems like I might come off a little anxious at sometimes, but that's my nature and this is the way I've been. But when you're actually having a physical problem, that's the other thing. So he said, okay, no worries. He goes, I figured you were going to tell me that, but I just wanted to make sure, you weren't being treated for any anxiety thing or anything like that. I'm like, no. He goes, all right, cool. So he says, so usually when a patient tells me that, it's instability and hypermobility due to this Mobi-C. And his thought process behind that was that I don't know what to do. He gave me three options. He's saying, his first option was, well, what we could potentially do is that we can take this out and fuse only this level. But if we fuse only this level and we put a plate there, what would potentially happen is that now you're going to be using this level and that level, and you're going to have tons of problems, meaning that we might as well just fuse up and up. And he says, I don't want to fuse up and up, because if I fuse everything, I'd have to go from behind. And, and that'd be the other option, but I don't want to do that. He says, so what we could potentially do is instead of using, a plate like that, we could fuse this, but not put a plate there. And there, you'll get a little bit of motion still there. But it will still be fused, and maybe put a cage in between or something. He goes, that's one of the options. And then, he says, but let me talk to a few people and get back to you. So he got back to me and he said, well, there's now three options on the table. Option number one, don't do anything. Wait it out and see how you feel. Maybe a few months from now or a year from now or something. If you're still getting that, then you just, given your age and everything like that, we can come back at that and determine if there should be a surgery or not. He did say though that if that is the case, if I want to take a non-surgical approach on anything, because I did ask him about that, he says PT plus steroid injections, and once we get it under control, and you feel right and you feel stable, then we don't have to worry about the surgery. And that is usually what we try to aim for first. He goes, but in your situation, it's a little different because you've already gone through 5 months of PT. Yeah, you haven't gone through steroid injections, but I don't think that's going to help you, is what he told me. He flat out said that. He says, well, because it doesn't sound like it's the pain more than it is the hypermobility and instability. And that is a problem, and that needs to be addressed. He says, so what the second option would be to take this and basically remove this Mobi-C and put it in place with a a different artificial disc, which is called a pro disc. And that is basically considered the number one disc in the entire world. I looked it up, and Mobi-C I think was like 7 out of 9, which was horrible. And I'm like, well, I'm like, he says, no, what the pro disc is more like ball and socket for like a joint, and what it might do is, it might pull this back a little bit, might pull this C3 back a little bit, and give you, and maybe make things a little bit more even over here, and you'll have more constraint. You won't be as mobile. I think it's something like 30% less mobile, but you'll have more strength as well. What I found out was that athletes that have gotten artificial disc replacements, and some athletes in their neck that have gotten artificial disc replacements, they have opted to go with the pro disc. We've seen, I think they've seen it before with, like, I think MMA athletes or something like that, but that's what they've opted to go with because that's usually what they go for. So he did say that. And then the last thing he said, he goes, and the last option would be to fuse up. And he goes, just fuse up those 2 levels, and that's it. He goes, but again, I don't want to touch this because this is okay. And I'd hate to do that. But, some surgeons will say, well, if we're going to fuse up regardless of what this is, because that's what we need to do. So that being said, he was a little reluctant to really move with me because he said his experience in this wasn't as, he was knowledgeable, but his experience wasn't as high as the folks that he spoke to. And he really wanted to get me on that right track. I do have a CAT scan, by the way, which I will share with you on another video. Right now, I don't want to even go to the CAT scan. I wanted to share this because it's the X-ray. But so what he did, I will name the practice here because this way he knows, and everyone knows. What he did was he told me that he was going to refer me to the one of the top surgeons at Texas Back Institute. I'm not going to name the surgeon's name, but I already figured out who it was to begin with. And I mentioned the person's name, and he goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, I just had lunch with him, a couple weeks ago. And he was one of the ones that I reached out to as well. But there was a couple other guys too. But if that's, maybe that's the person we should target. And I know somebody else that used that same surgeon that did a Mobi-C for her, and did an excellent job. And that person told me I would use nobody else at this point. Now the concern that I have is that number one, this is high. This is a high issue. This is an upper cervical issue. My CAT scans didn't reveal too much, but if you look at it, it was very similar to this, where it looked at the C3 was just hanging, and while it was lying down too, it still looked at the C3 was hanging over. So it was very much out of place and out of whack. The muscles looked okay on my CAT scan. Ironically enough, my lungs looked okay on my CAT scan, and everything else that they were able to find as well. But I'll go over those results because what I'm going to be doing is that, yes, I will be getting that opinion from the person at Texas Back Institute, and I don't want to do anything just yet unless it's a 100% guarantee fix to get me back on my life. Because to be honest with you, I've lost 10 years of my life almost 10 years of my life because of this condition. The past 2 years have been absolutely the worst. I started feeling the worst probably at the end of 2018, maybe in 2019 is when it really got worse. Like, I couldn't even drive. My head was just not there. As a matter of fact, it was after I was in an accident where I was hit from behind at the end of 2018. And I just kept moving on. I was doing okay. And then I went on a long road trip. And then after that, I felt like my neck was just going to break on me, and I couldn't handle that road trip, not even as a passenger. Like, it was very hard, but I sucked through it. And when I got home, I was like 1,000% worse at that point. But it was a situation that, I waited too long to move on this, and it's simple as that. So now it's like, even my drives down the block are very difficult for me, as sometimes, because I just get that same feeling. Sitting in a car. So I'm getting sick of not being able to get to places like family functions. to family that are an hour or less away, um, out to dinners or just little gatherings with friends that are that are there's just things like that, and even enjoying the rest of my life. I used to be an avid hockey player. I haven't been able to play any sports. I mean, okay, I understand I may not be able to ever again with a lot of this, but maybe I can eventually. I see people that have a lot of success stories. But and the driving, I really like driving is something that I used to love to do, and that's the one thing that's just struggling to get to do. And I really want to be able to get back to that point. Okay, and that's really where I want to go with that. But so I will be seeking the opinion of the people in Texas. If they give me 100% guarantee that they'll be able to fix me up and I'll be in the right place, and they tell me we won't let you go until we know you're at the right place, then I'll go. I'll suck it up and go. Even though I can't basically drive or sit in the car for more than a couple minutes, maybe I'll get myself knocked out or something, and before I know it, I'll wake up and I'll be somewhere. And maybe I'll be in the hospital and ready to be in the hospital and go. And I have a friend that'd be willing to go with me, or any other friends that want to go with me can go with me, and maybe I make a vacation out of it. But that's But I'll be also seeking the opinion of the first neurosurgeon from here, as well as another neurosurgeon as well in my state. So if that is going to be the case, I at least want to know what they have, and maybe if it really comes down to it, I go back to this guy, the orthopedic surgeon that did this. But I don't think I want to, mainly because he was very adamant about he never had a Mobi-C that failed, and he's never had to do a revision surgery, and I don't know what he would do to control what I have going on. Naturally, I don't want any other surgery. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want any other surgery. That's why I seeked out the nuclear chiropractor. And, I will be honest with you, there's thoughts still in my mind about give it a try, see what happens. One of the things that has happened since these surgeries is that I've gained a lot of weight. I was at 100, I've almost gained probably 80 pounds since my first surgery. I was at 178 pounds or something like that. And, after my first surgery, and I went up to about, within 6 months, I probably went up to like 215 or something, or whatever it was. And then, after the second surgery, I was probably about 220, 225. And now I'm at like 255. So it's way too much. And maybe, I'd like to lose more weight. The only way I'm going to do that is with diet, because the way I'm feeling right now, I can't do anything intense or severe with what I have going on with my neck, because I would just pay for it the next day or feel worse. That's how much pain it would get. One of my family members asked me like, oh, I always have this neck pain and this and that and that. Why don't you just take a pill or something? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. It's not like that. Like, it's not like your typical muscle neck pain that you might have, or maybe something else. And explain to my family member that it literally feels like something broken in my neck. But they couldn't find anything in the CAT scan or the X-rays. Nothing looks broken. But I hear crunch, grind, crunch, grind, crunch, crunch, grind, right? And it's all up here. Actually, I don't hear it that much right now, which is ironic as I'm talking to you guys. But I definitely hear something. And I'm almost positive that whatever's going on up here, whatever's going on with this, is all causing the tinnitus that I have as well. And once we all figure out what it's going to be and how it's going to be connected, I think that it'll get fixed up. I think this is the year that it's going to get fixed up. I actually talked to my stepmother about that, and she even told me, she goes, I think you're going to have one more surgery, but I think it's going to be a surgery that's going to fix everything back for you, and you're going to be back to normal. And when I do that, I swear to you, I want my, I understand that I won't be getting 10 years back of my life back, but I might want to relive some things that I really struggled through for those 10 years. And, it's something that it's going through my mind right now. But, God forbid I had to travel or something and didn't do anything or go anywhere. It's almost impossible for me with the way I'm feeling with the neck. So, and it's only this side. It's only this right side. So anyway, I don't want to know. I don't think I've missed anything out on here. I have my CAT scan results, but I don't want to go over that with you guys until I have spoken to the folks at Texas Back Institute. you already have my opinion from the surgeon I just talked to, and until I've spoken to two other surgeons about what it is they think needs to be done. Regardless, it does sound like this is going to be a revision surgery of some sort. Though what kind of revision surgery, I don't know. And that is what's going to make things a little bit more difficult. The good news is that you see this, that is basically uh, my throat, or what could potentially be vocal cords and throat and whatever. So if I had to do this and they had to extend that, now I don't know about what it would be like if it's over here. That might be problematic. It might be very close. I think that could be, but up here it looks like I have plenty of room. But anyway, I think what they really want to do is they want to think about making that Mobi-C gone and putting something else in that would be more flat and even things out and give the disc height and not slip. And that's kind of what they're looking at. So I'll update you guys. I'll let you know how things go. Maybe at some point in May, a month from now or so, I'll have some answers for you. And until then, if you have any comments, leave them down there in the comments section. If you want to know what doctors I went through, please reach out to me personally, and I might tell you. I don't want to put it out there in public though, because I've had nothing but good things to say about every single doctor. First of all, I will say that every doctor has been fantastic. I really think this doctor did the best job so far. I think this doctor I don't think it's not that he did a bad job. It's just he didn't have, it's what he had to work with, I think, was a little bit more difficult. But obviously that hasn't failed. But every surgeon I've ever spoken to has been fantastic. I think maybe except for the very, very, very first one that I've ever spoken to, who just didn't want to move on anything and just went by protocol. And hopefully I don't need to go by protocol. But yeah, if you want to ask me any questions about that, feel free, reach out to me. I might message you or back and tell you which doctors they are. And if you are watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you want to know any further updates in case you miss them. And maybe I'll see you guys in a month, maybe sooner. Maybe I'll get this fixed almost immediately and be back on the road, back on track and everything like that. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace out, all.